kaiju, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there, collectors. It is Steven here, and today we are taking a look at the not Mega Evolution of Greninja, but we're going to be taking a look at the Tomy Ash Greninja. So, this is Ash's signature Pokemon in a way. I mean, it has his name in it, and Greninja kind of adapted some of the looks of Ash, and I guess technically in the anime, whatever, it's not Ash, he's just the first one to awake, whatever the story is. We do have Ash Greninja here, a different form of Greninja in action figure format, and considering that this is on the market and Greninja can be difficult to find, some folks want to know if this is a good replacement for Greninja. And I do have to say there are quite a few things we have to take a look at, so you know what comes next. Let's take a look to see whether or not it's worth adding into your collection. If you remember from my Greninja review, I said that it looked very, very nice for $13, and there were a whole bunch of whatever going on there that was completely forgivable because at a higher price point, some import figures basically were doing that, but worse. So effectively, it looked fine. There were absolutely no issues at all, and anyone who was upset with that, yeah, they probably should stop collecting. However, Ash Greninja here, which is essentially going to be Greninja reused, because there are a couple of spots that they had to go back and resculpt, there is definitely a step down in quality, both in terms of how paint may be applied and some remnants left over from the manufacturing process. Now, you may say that I'm a little bit hard on this one, but when we take a look at things in the objective way, Ash Greninja is $13, and so is Greninja, yet Greninja did it much better. Anyway, let's take a closer look. When we take a look at the red paint on Ash Greninja's head, we definitely see a lot of clumpiness going on here, which unfortunately isn't nice to see because we don't want clumpy looking action figures. And something else of note, one of the eyes on Ash Greninja does bleed over into the black on the remaining portion of the eye, which, you know, hey, I guess that's cool, despite Greninja doesn't do that. And then we do have the tan, which, kind of bleeds over, not too big of an issue. But when we take a look at the sideburns for our Ash Greninja, we do see some black blending in with the red streaks that are there. Kind of odd that they would do that. Not too great at the end of the day. I really wish that this could have been tightened up a little bit in the factory, the quality control that is, but unfortunately, this is what did sneak out onto the market for the final product. Some may say it's not too big of an issue, but when you're holding Greninja and handling it in hand, it doesn't really look the best. Moving on down, though, we do have a new torso design for Ash Greninja, specifically the markings on the chest and the stomach, and the paint does look to be a little thinned out here. It does look like it's supposed to be the same paint that's used on the head, the hands, and the feet, but here you can definitely see the blue plastic is bleeding through underneath. Not really cool there. Speaking of the hands, when we take a look at the arms and the hands, we do see that the paint application is actually really nice, and it is on par with the original Greninja. Specifically here, I'm thinking because they didn't have to do anything to these parts, and they could basically just reuse parts from normal Greninjas if they needed, except for they would have to probably repaint a couple of things here and there, just so this way they can match up the coloration. And then as we move down to the legs, which are going to be the same, there's going to be no differences there. The paint looks great as well, except for on the front of the thighs where you can definitely see two seam lines running right down the front. Kind of unsightly there. The feet do look fantastic in and of themselves, so there's nothing really to say there except for the fact that the bottoms of the feet not painted just like the original. Taking a look at the back of the head, we can definitely see that on the crest for Ash Greninja, the middle red spike has some red paint that is bleeding over a bit. It is what it is. And then moving down underneath the water shuriken, we do have another light blue shuriken, both sculpted into and painted on the back. So that is an actual mark and an updated sculpt, not just a repaint. So all in all, at the end of the day, some parts pretty much look identical to normal Greninja, but Ash Greninja here, for pretty much all of the new parts, it kind of seems like they dropped a ball for the paint quality. Now, since Ash Greninja is just a resculpt with a slightly different paint job, articulation is the same, including, the balancing problem that Greninja has, along with some of the joints, and this shuriken we're going to have a little chat about in a bit. So what is the articulation like for those of you who just might not have Greninja or want to see it again? Well, the head attaches into the neck on a swivel, so we can spin the head around just like so. And then we do have a swivel hinge combo at the shoulder, so this way you can spin the arm around like so, move it forward and back and raise and lower it as you would like. And then at the elbows, we do have a bicep swivel right above the elbow, and then the elbow itself is on a hinge. Now we do have wrist swivels as well, so you can spin the hands around like so. So basically the arms move around about as best as they could. Bendy wire in the tongue? No, nothing there, but that's okay. Now we do have a ball jointed ab crunch, which is kind of loose. As we move down, we have ball jointed hips. Can't move out too far, which is a shame. And then we have them move out forward and back about that far. We do have swivels right above the knee, which is great. And then we do have knee hinges, which are kind of loose. And that contributes to the fact that Greninja cannot really stand up too well on its own. And it is suggested that you use a support stand, because there have been many a times at night where Greninja will be standing up just fine. Let's see if I can do it here. Okay, standing up fine. And then in the middle of the night, it falls over because it collapses under its own weight. So I would definitely recommend using a support stand, which Tomy did not include with this one. So whether it's a Tamashii stage or you use a NECA stand, whatever it might be, definitely get some support for this guy here. Now, for accessories, despite the fact that it doesn't come with a stand, it does come with one of them, and that will be the shuriken on its back, which does pop off with ease. I mean, as long as this is attached on, you're going to have some sort of issue, whether or not it's accidentally bumping it with one of the joints of the figure or whatnot. You're always going to pop this off, pretty much. So this is the most frustrating part of the review for me, because all of the pictures I had to take, I had to stop, fix it again, because this thing kept falling off. It doesn't support in well. But we'll zoom in here real quick and we'll take a closer look. And as you can see, there's a notch on Ash Greninja's back right there. And that fits in perfectly with the hole in the water shuriken. So it's going to fit in just like so. Okay? So that is exactly how it fits in. You can't twist it and turn it. It's just goes in one way. Now, the cool thing about this is that there is this little grip here that you can attach onto basically any of the limbs of Greninja here. And you can make it look like it's going to throw the shuriken if you would like. So you can attach it to the wrists, or if you want to turn it into that ninja frog a bit more in that display on your shelf, you can actually, come on, attach it to the leg if you want. Like that. So yeah, it's really cool to attach that to different parts of Greninja's body. You can even attach that to a stand if you would like, as you're going to see in the 360 spin display of Ash Greninja here. So it's really cool that we do get the signature attack of Ash Greninja. So overall for accessories, really, really neat that they included this, but it is very fiddly on the back. And as always, there are other effect parts that are out there on the market that can make this a little better. So I definitely recommend spicing that display up, whether or not it's a water trail that goes with the water shuriken or whatnot. And I'd also recommend getting a support stand. So overall for articulation, I think Ash Greninja is really solid despite some rather weak joints, and we do get an accessory, so that is definitely a plus. No stand though, that's a little bit of a minus. There isn't even a hole in either foot for one of those circular base stands, so yeah, wish they would have fixed that. Now, to wrap up the review, we're going to have a size comparison with the normal Greninja, Tomy Froakie, and Frogadier. So this way you have an idea of exactly how big the entire Greninja family is. So as you can see, whether or not it is going to replace Greninja on the Pokemon shelf or with a general Smash Brothers display, you're going to have a nice looking Ash Greninja. So, buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Overall, I think Ash Greninja is a step down in terms of how it looks compared to the normal Greninja, and the joint looseness issue is still present. Once again, there is no support stand to help Ash Greninja stand up because it will fall over time and time again, depending on whether or not you have it perfectly centered on a dime on your shelf. At the end of the day, though, the articulation is great, and this is a great addition to your Pokemon lineup on the shelf, or if you just wanted to have the final piece of your Greninja collection in hand. Don't get me wrong, this is a nice piece to an extent, but I'm seeing this one in particular go for anywhere from $25 on up, and I would have to say at that point, definitely hold off to see if you can find this in store, or if you happen to see it pop up online. Something else to keep in mind, I do believe this Ash Greninja is getting a box release with a Hawlucha and a Pikachu in Sun and Moon packaging that is going for around $25. So if you do happen to see that, go ahead and grab that. But at the end of the day, if you can find it for about $13 single carded, you're going to get a fun figure with an accessory that does meet some bare minimum action figure requirements. $13 here, I don't think it's too bad. Could be better though. Well, folks, that's the end of this review. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow me on social media to catch more behind-the-scenes shenanigans and updates. The end card should be popping up now with more hand-selected STR goodness for you to watch, so check out some of those videos. Be sure to check the description, too, to see where you can buy this figure or others like it, and some cool links, like the credits for this video, and other ways you can help out the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next one.